Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to Healthy Living, Happy Life. I'm your host, Denise Stegall, longevity concierge and passionate advocate for helping women to find a path to vibrant health and wellness. As a health and life coach, I am familiar with the struggles, trials, and tribulations that all women face in this stage of life. Today, we're going to dive into something near and dear to my heart, and that is my best-selling book, internationally best-selling book. I have to keep reminding myself that. It's called Healthy Living, Happy Life. Where have you heard that before? While my book is not brand new, it serves as a foundation for everything that I teach in my coaching. It is packed with practical, fun, and real ways to help you live a healthier, happier life. And I can't wait to share more about it with you today. Some people sometimes ask me, Denise, why healthier, healthy living, happy life? Why not happy life first? And what I truly believe when it comes to health and happiness, that if you do not have your health, and I mean that by your physical, mental, and emotional health, happiness will always elude you, or at least the happiness that you're striving for will always elude you. So I think it's really important for me to kind of start with that. But now, before we dive in, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the book and then get it into a little bit deeper. Let's see. It is divided into three key sections, and each one is equally as important to build a sustainable and healthy lifestyle. And we're always trying to build that, build that, create that healthy lifestyle that works for you. And in the book, I go through different concepts that focus on different aspects of your life. But three of them, the three key sections, are like that, I would say, a three-legged stool. Nutrition, eat real food, making good decisions, and being accountable, holding yourself accountable is that stool. And each one of those topics is the leg of the stool. And, just like a stool, if one of the legs is loose, well, the whole thing wobbles, right? And that's okay. For every now and then, for a leg to get shaky every now and then, we're all human. But what we don't want is to come crashing down on the floor every time we sit on the stool. So we do want to make sure that we start focusing on each one of those the legs of the stool or the concepts. Eat real food, nutrition, make good decisions, and being accountable, personally accountable. So today I'm going to explore a little bit more into each of the sections to help you find that practical path that works for you. Because if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to stick. And you may live in a house with other people. No matter what, your healthy lifestyle is yours and yours alone. You can have a spouse that does something very similar, but there's always going to be pieces that are uniquely yours. So I want you to close your eyes if you can. Obviously, don't do that if you're driving or operating heavy machinery, as they say. But imagine this. Tomorrow morning, you wake up and you feel amazing. You are energized, your mind is clear, and you're ready to tackle the day. You've got a skip in your step, hopeful enthusiasm about your life. Looks great, doesn't it? Now, what if I told you that that is all within your reach, and you can feel that way every single day, just once in a while? Yeah, nothing's perfect, so we all have our not so great days too, right? So I just said that, and you're thinking, and I know that you're thinking this because people have said this to me umpteen times. Sure, Denise, that sounds great in theory, but where do I even start? I've done diets, I've done exercise programs, I've done it all. I'm here to make this simple for you. My system begins with eat real food. It's that simple. It's that I guess, one leg of this stool, but it really is the starting point. You have to start somewhere, right? You can't focus on all three things at once. You have to focus on one. So we'll focus on eating real food, and that's it. It sounds easy. Maybe, maybe not, but I can assure you it is. So Cornelia, who was one of the amazing ladies who previewed Healthy Living, Happy Life, summed it up beautifully when she says, and I quote, Denise invites us to improve our health right now just by choosing to eat real food. And it really is that simple. No more complicated diets, no more restricting yourself, just real food that makes you feel fantastic. Who wouldn't want that? I agree. Who wouldn't want that? That was why I wrote the book, because that's what I had been looking for. And that was what I found. Going back to basics, eating real food, whole foods, those fruits and veggies and whole grains, beans, legumes, lean meats, and fatty fish. Sometimes people say to me, but they feel limited when they're on a quote unquote diet. All of the things that I just said, there are so many different veggies and all of these different amazing foods. There's no restriction here when it comes to eating all of those things that I just listed. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I love stories. It's story time. I worked with a client who had tried every diet out there, paleo, keto, low carb, you name it. Sound like you? Uh, Actually, I worked with a dozen or more women who were on that same path. But I actually have one specific client in mind. Her name is Stacy. And when Stacy came to me, she was frustrated. She was exhausted. She was overweight, over exercising. And she admitted she was always hungry because she was always dieting. And that left her feeling most of the time edgy, tired, of course, and occasionally, as one of her coworkers told her, unapproachable. That's not a good thing if you're working in an organization or even if it's your family. You don't want to be unapproachable. So I asked, does that sound familiar? Does any of that sound familiar to you? If it does, keep on listening. So when we strip it all back to the basics, again, eating real whole foods, everything started to change. Now, did it happen overnight? Of course not. But did she notice something after week one, after week two? You bet. Her energy soared, it skyrocketed. She started enjoying meals again because she had been eating all of this diet food, bland stuff out of a box, lots of shakes. But you know what? This was so exciting. She didn't just lose weight, she actually gained something far more valuable: happiness. The happiness and joy she felt as a much younger woman and she was in her mid 50s at the time. That's the power of real food. It nourishes your body and your spirit. I mean, truly, this was something that affected her emotional health, her mental health, her physical health, all of those things, because she was always on a diet and always restricting herself and then exercising like crazy and punishing herself if she fell short of a workout or if she had extra calories. And that's not a way to live. Here's the thing though, food is really just the beginning. Dr. Karen Wolf, who's a holistic health coach and speaker, told me how much she loved the system that I lay out in the book. And she said, and again, I quote, Denise provides a system that focuses on the nutritional value of foods, especially plants. These foods give you energy, help you feel good, and help you reach or maintain a healthy weight. Now, that said, yes, I do talk about a plant-forward diet. And that does not mean that I'm vegetarian or I believe that one should be vegetarian or vegan or any of those. I don't. But we do know that diets, the word with a little d, that are full of plant foods, like I said, fruits and veggies, whole grains, all of those, beans and legumes. People that have those foods in their diet weigh less, they feel better, they have much more energy. And of course, the other thing that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to is protein. Not going to get into that today. I will get into that in another episode, but plant forward and lean quality meats. And so I think that's really an important part of um, eating real food. And of course, now in the book, this is my favorite part. Um, it's not about being perfect, because let's face it, who has the time for perfection? I don't. And as I was growing up, my mother used to call me I was an overachiever because I was always like successful in things that I did. Well, yeah, I put a lot of attention to it. But I realized even then that at some point, you know, something had to be just good enough. And I actually talk about that in chapter 2, where we dive deeper into letting go of perfection and focusing on progress. Towards feeling good, living well, and all that. But progress over perfection. Too often we get stuck in thinking that we have to do everything perfectly. We get sucked into that all or nothing mentality. And it's the main reason why so many women start and start diets, start and stop diets, where their weights yo-yo up and down. The great thing is you don't have to figure it all out in one day. Every small step towards eating real, nourishing foods is a step towards healthier, happier you. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about that I talk about in the book, and this is important. I talk about movement. In chapter 5, it's called "Move It, Move It." I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it. Yes, now I apologize. You're all going to be singing that song for the rest of the day. Dig into why moving your body is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Um, Truly, movement does not have to mean grueling workouts at the gym. Matter of fact, I have never enjoyed going to the gym. There is a place that I used to go to for about a year that I enjoyed, but it wasn't your typical gym. Um, it was a little bit different. So that I enjoyed, but to go to a regular gym where they have the treadmills and the free weights and the machines, I've never ever loved that. So if you don't enjoy that, then you don't need to do that. Workouts, I don't even like the word workout. I like movement. I like play. I like fun. And in fact, movement should be fun. Dance around your living room, take a walk in the park, whatever makes you feel good, makes you feel alive. And that's the key. It's about feeling energized, not drained. How many times have you gone to the gym? And I hear women tell me this all the time. Oh, I spend an hour and a half at the gym 5 days a week. I'm thinking to myself, one, what are you doing for an hour and a half at the gym every single day? Two, now I know why you don't have time for meal prep. People always say, oh, I just don't have the time for that. Well, if you're wasting an hour and a half at the gym 5 days a week, yeah. Ay, 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 ay. Anyway, so there is more to health than just food and movement, though those are the things we seem to really focus on. Um, but you can't really, eat well and move your body right without making good decisions in other areas of your life. And that's where part 2 of the book comes in. So again, the book is broken down into 3 sections. And part 2 is about planning. It's about creating balance or harmony. In the book, I use the word balance, but as I've continued to work on myself and work with clients, I realize that the word is more harmony. Nothing is ever balanced like a perfect scale, right? But the things need to be in harmony with one another. And also about setting yourself up for success. One of the main topics in there, however, which I think is really important, is in chapter 8, which is called Sleep Your Way to Health and Happiness. And in that chapter, I share how essential sleep is to your overall well-being. And I know we've all been there trying to power through life on too little sleep, but trust me, this needs to become a non-negotiable. There is research that shows that our brain is actually rejuvenating and keeping memories and really doing what it needs to do to keep healthy and to keep functioning well. This is your brain here we're talking about. That you need to be in bed, be asleep between 10 at night and 2 in the morning. And that actually, there's more and more research that shows that people who are not sleeping, especially between those hours, and this goes along with circadian rhythms, that those people have a higher incidence of dementia and Alzheimer's. If getting a good 8 hours sleep and your sleep between 10 and 2, if you know that's going to help ward off dementia and Alzheimer's, uh, non-negotiable, huh? Um, Also, when you get enough sleep, it's so much easier to tackle anything in your day because you have much more energy, you have much more focus. So when I was writing Healthy Living, Happy Life, I wanted to create something that was real, but was also relatable. I didn't want to give you just like another how-to guide. Let's be real. You probably have a half dozen of those books on your shelf that either you've read, forgotten about, or never got around to reading, right? My friend Michelle Boss, she says it perfectly when she says that Healthy Living, Happy Life is full of anecdotes and stories that make it fun and easy to read. And truly, that's exactly what I wanted, is to share stories and lessons that make healthy living feel achievable for everyone. Now, I know I focus mostly on women 45 to 65, but honestly, this is a book that is good for teenagers and college age students. It's great for men. I do say very often, I work with women and a few smart men. I just, as a woman, working with women 45 to 65, it's just easier to work with women. But again, the book is good for men as well. It really is something for people who are looking to get back on track with their health and wellness, to live better, longer, and of course, still eat dessert. So finally, part 3 of the book is called Be Accountable. This is about personal accountability, where we get into the heart of what it means to take charge of your life. It's your life, right? You're the only one who can make the decisions that affect you in a positive way. So setting healthy boundaries, staying connected with the people around you, and building confidence. Yes, building confidence. I mean, true confidence in who you are and the decisions you make. These are building blocks to not just health, but these are building blocks to happiness. If you don't have healthy boundaries set, you kind of end up being a doormat for a lot of people. And I don't know about you, but that's not a good feeling. And that certainly would not make me happy. So my friend and like multiple best-selling author Eric Severson said, Denise provides an easy-to-follow guide to generating happiness and fulfillment by choosing healthy lifestyle habits that create positive changes within ourselves, our homes, and our workplace. And I couldn't agree more. Seriously, health and happiness are so intertwined with all of the places and the people. I think of when I think about organization and planning. We think of planning our days. This is something that when you're planning your day, you're planning your work day, but you're also planning your personal day. And maybe you're planning, your spouse's day too, or the kids. So all of those things work together. So when you're creating healthy lifestyle habits, you're creating them for different areas of your life, because they are so intertwined. By taking small steps towards improving all of these things, you take steps towards improving your happiness. And again, it's not that you're unhappy, right? But we can always grow. We can always get a little higher on the happiness scale. So I'm going to tell you a little secret. You deserve happiness. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be happy. And the happiness piece is not just for the weekends or once in a while when there's an event. You deserve to be happy every single day. And you have the power to create that. I truly believe that health and happiness are not just a possibility, but they're attainable for everyone. And truly, I am here on this podcast and in my coaching and on my blog to show you how to do that. So, if you're ready to feel amazing, love your life, live it in a way that's full of joy and energy and harmony, then grab a copy of Healthy Living, Happy Life. You can get it on Amazon. Um, Currently, I think you can get it on my website, but you could definitely get it on Amazon. Alternatively, schedule a call with me and let's get you on the path to forever wellness with Healthy Living, Happy Life, because it can be yours. You simply need to take that first step. And I can't wait for you to experience the transformation in yourself. It's not about me. It's not about the book. It's about you and how you feel and how you live and the things that you want to achieve in your life. So I want to thank you for joining me on today's podcast. I hope you found some inspiration, maybe had a few laughs, and took away some actionable steps that you can actually apply right now. Movement, sleep, um, are so, so important. Um, Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, please do subscribe, whether it's on Apple Podcast or any place where you see your podcast. But please do subscribe, share with a friend, and of course, if you feel inclined, please leave me a great review. I'd appreciate it. And of course, last thing, of course, grab the book. So until next time, everyone, remember the three sections of the book, the three pillars of success. Eat real food, make good decisions, and be accountable to you. Healthy living, happy life is just around the corner. Just take that first step. I'll see you next time.